All right. Hey, this is Gloria, and I'm here with Louie Valdivia, and I'm just going to do a little bit of the sharing for a minute and let my Facebook friends know that we're online and the YouTube friends that are watching live. So hang tight for just a second. Here's the live. Oh, we're on. We're public. Hey, everybody. Everybody, how's it going? Still gonna give Facebook just a minute to notify you guys that we're live. We're live in the barrio. I live right down the street, and you know what? I've been hanging out down here for a long time. Um, I moved away for a little while. I went to London, and then came back. And you know what? I went into my first taco shop after being away for like 10 years, 14 years, and I forgot how to order a taco. I still can't say beer yet. How do you say beer yet?
Birria. You gotta roll that R.
Birria.
Takes practice.
It takes practice. Hey guys, I'm here with Louie Valdivia, and we're just setting up. We're letting Facebook warm up there for a minute. Notify you guys. Share this out. Share this with your friends. We want people to know. Louie's got a story he wants to share with you guys, and I can't wait to interview him. So, with that said, I'm just going to kind of get right to it. You know, I was sitting around and I was, thinking to myself, I want to go back to doing my podcasting, and I hadn't done one in a while, right? Because of the COVID and everything, and people were like scared to come out and things. And so, I once it all loosened up, I was like, I'm just going to go for it again. Um, and I thought of Louie because Louie posted something that was really, really interesting to me. It actually choked me up a little bit. We're going to get to that. But I want to introduce to you this guy who used to be my supervisor at work. And I have to give our team down there at Work Plaza a shout out because they're one of the best teams, I think, in the state. Um, from housekeeping to security to all the people that work the shops down there. They are just an amazing team, especially the security team down there. I have to say, they're top notch. Um, so this is Louie Valdivia, and Louie is a local stand-up comedian who's been featured all around town and at various clubs and theaters around the country. After retiring as a craft clown, Louie decided to make his stand-up debut immediately after graduating high school. And since then, he has earned a respectable following all around San Diego. Louie Valdivia continues to make people laugh and is currently in the hiring process for multiple law enforcement agencies in which he plans to take his gift of laughter into one of the darkest jobs in the world. And Louis says this quote here says, "Laughter is the best medicine. It's my job to find sin." We got Louie Valdivia, you guys. Hey Louie, I want you to share some of your experiences growing up here in San Diego. Talk to us a little bit about who you are, where you come from, and let's just start with that. Just introduce yourself.
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. It was, like you said, Horton Plaza was probably one of the funnest jobs I've ever had. Some of the greatest, people I've ever worked with, including yourself. I think back at that job, and it's like we learned so much at that job, and we took it into like our real lives, from I hate to mention it, but like, the thing that really stands out about that place is all like the suicides we had to do with. Remember that? Like, it's so sad there, but I mean that going from there is like from that job, I could like do any job after that. So just handling such a trauma like that, you guys handle it very well, and I miss that job and I miss you guys. So it's good to reunite finally. But yes, I am a stand-up comedian. Straight out of high school, I did my first open mic at the Comedy Palace. That's unfortunately closing down soon. After it's probably the end of an era for a lot of people. That's where a lot of us started. But a new comedy club's coming in, so I hope they could, set the expectations that the Comedy Palace had, because that place was absolutely amazing. So shout out to the Comedy Palace in Claremont. Gave me my first, really my start. I remember going up there like open mics, in front of 3 people. And I think back at that, it's like from 3 people, and I just did a show last week in front of like a full crowd. And from theater shows that I've done, really seeing how far I've come these past few years, and I think of that stuff, going from nothing to developing into something. And yeah, San Diego has been good to me. San Diego's been awesome. I wouldn't want to live anywhere else, even though it's expensive. I got to deal with it because I wouldn't want to live anywhere else. I mean, you see this weather. I got friends in Nebraska and Oregon, Chicago, and it's snowing, and it's like I wouldn't want to go anywhere else. So yeah.
Dude, like I almost moved to Las Vegas. I was gone. I was there already. I was packed. I had my things still packed. And then I had this situation that happened with my family, and I was like, no, you know what? My family needs me here.
Yep.
And I want to stay stable, and I stayed. And I went out to the beach, and I just cried, and I was like, no. Why did I leave? I'm leaving this beautiful place.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So Louie, tell us a little bit about so I'm so proud of you. Like I see you as a supervisor at work, and I remember we sat there talking one time, and you said that you were a comedian, and I didn't believe you. I was like,
Yeah.
no, he's not, because he's so serious at work.
A lot of people think that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, I was like, and then one day they said they were all going to go to the club, and you were going to stand up, and I was like, that takes a lot of guts to do. I'm a preacher, and I get scared to be up on the stage.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that. How did you do that?
Yeah. So yeah, and when we used to work at Horton, there used to be a comedy club all the way in the top levels. And yeah, everybody that worked with us kind of just went that night and kind of saw me, and them too. They didn't know I was a comedian, and being professional, kind of serious at work. I never really showed my sense of humor side, because I wanted to be professional and all that. So when they showed up and they saw that I'm not this serious person, and that I can make a whole crowd laugh, like it kind of like you, like it kind of like, I guess, surprised them. So, but yeah, that a lot of people think that. A lot of people meet me, say, hey, you're so shy, you're so quiet, you're a comedian. Then I show them my Instagram, and they're like, oh my goodness, I want to go to a show. So that's kind of nice, having that hidden talent, I guess you could say. But I mean, I've had it since I was a kid, man. Like growing up, I was always funny to my friends and stuff. I know how to like turn it on and off. I don't want to be that like annoying person that tells jokes all the time, and like, it's like, who invited this guy? I know how to kind of turn it on, turn it off, know when to be serious, when to be professional, and I know when to bring it out when it's really needed the most, So yeah, a lot of people think that, so it's kind of nice having that, in my back pocket whenever I need to, take it out and use it.
Yeah. So I've heard, and it's been said, that sometimes what makes a comedian is because of some of the struggles that they've been through in life, and they just find this little piece of something that makes people happy. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I was just thinking about this actually today. It's like, I remember growing up, and like I give it all to my dad. Like my dad's the one that I got all the sense of humor from, And I remember we'd be at parties, or like our family would come over, and let's say, for instance, I fell off my bike one time. And that for me like was the worst day of my life. I hurt myself. I was crying. You know, I thought it was the end of the world for me. And then my dad that night was making fun of me and making the whole family, you know, cry, just laughter, just you fell today, and like we were all laughing, and that's kind of when it clicked. Like, okay, you could take something that's so horrible and kind of just laugh at it, and then everybody laughs with you instead of at you, you know. So that's when I kind of like it kind of stuck with me. And then growing up, I kind of took all the troubles in my life, and I guess you could say the traumas in my life, and I kind of went up there. I mean, my parents got divorced when I was a young age, and it really affected me. And I go up there and I talk about my parents, and it like makes me feel a lot better. You know, stuff like that, stuff that really bothered me. I go up there and I just let it all out, and there's no better feeling than everybody laughing along with me at those, you know, traumatic events of my life. So yeah, you're absolutely right. A lot of comedians take the darkness in their life and go up there and kind of use it as a therapy, I guess. So it's sort of like in a weird way, it's like a therapy. Like you could go to any, I feel like psychologist, whatever, like, you know, doctor, shrink. It might work, but for us, it's like I'm gonna write some jokes about it and just let it all out up there. I know I'm not the only one. Like that's spot on. A lot of comedians do that. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I feel like it's kind of a way to connect. You're letting your story connect with the audience that also has a story, and they can relate to that together with that laugh. And that's healing.
Exactly.
Just the connection with another human being in a meaningful way like that is a healing. Sometimes someone listening. But Louie, I want to read a couple of things here. Um, and then I'm going to ask you another question.
Okay, sure. Ask away.
Okay, it's kind of silly. If you had 3 wishes, what would you wish for?
It's a really good question. Um, you know, the one that everybody always says is kind of, you know, I guess world peace. I don't like seeing this everybody fighting and like, you know, like for instance politics. You know, everybody's got their own sides and stuff. I just wish everybody would kind of get along. You know. My next wish, I wish everybody would probably laugh a little bit more. Everybody needs to laugh more. Like, you know, look at the stuff that really bothers you and just let it out in laughter. I feel like that might bring this world a little bit better. You know. The last one, I think everybody should go visit their grandparents. That's a big one. I wish everybody, you know, if you still have them, go visit them, because you know I visit my grandma every once in a while, and everybody, you know, they're getting older, so I wish everybody would kind of respect their elders and their family a little bit more. Yeah, I had to think on that one a little bit off the top of my head.
That's really good. I really like that. You guys, all the people that I interview, I have such a good time, and it is really a real connection when you do sit down and listen to someone's story. And I hope that you all feel the same way. But Louis, I wanted to kind of point out something to you when you were talking about your parents. You went into 2 different emotions. One was you were kind of proud of the way that you responded to it, and the other one was you were kind of hurt and disappointed. Tell us a little bit about it.
Hurt and disappointed. I mean, yeah, I'm proud of my parents. I'm proud that I came from them. I got, you know, a little bit of my mom, a little bit of my dad. Um, but yeah, I mean, growing up, I mean, I saw them together and they were like the happiest people. Now I look at them and they kind of can't stand each other, you know? So that kind of, um, you know, it gets to me sometimes, but I know if they're happy, then I'm happy. But I mean, I love my parents no matter what they do and, you know, what their decisions are. I mean, my dad, I know that he gave me something that has been useful my whole life, you know, which is an amazing sense of humor and an amazing work ethic. And I mean, I go to work and I crease my pants and I'm always, you know, one of the neatest ones, and it's because of him, you know. And his mom, which is, yeah, my grandmother, which is his mom, or yeah, his mom, she told me that, I mean, she's like, I used to clean toilets. I used to clean toilets for a living. And even then I was still with the creased pants. He's like, so I mean, it doesn't matter where you are in life. Like, you got to be the neatest person and the most professional. So I took a lot from my dad and from my mom. I mean, I could come to her for anything. She's like my own little psychologist, psychiatrist. I know I can come for them for anything. For a second, they were my personal ATMs, but I kind of grew out of that. So, but I mean, I love my parents no matter what they do, and
That's great.
so I love them. Yeah.
You know, I grew up southeast San Diego. I grew up, and it was rough. My dad was, he was a biker, and he was a white biker. And my mom is Native American,
Oh, okay.
and she's a Chicano.
Nice.
And my family are most of my family are from here in Martin Heights.
Nice.
For generations, they're in Martin. And but I grew up, and it was really, really rough. Like, I mean, I was bullied like every single day, growing up in Southeast San Diego. And I had to learn how to overcome a lot of obstacles. And, one of those things was being the mediator, like the counselor. I became, all my friends are used to me being that kind of mellow mediator person instead of getting into the fight and start having any fights. But instead of doing that, I was the person that wanted to resolve it. How do we resolve this? And it came from a teacher that stepped in. He was this kind of hippie Chicano guy, looked like Carlos Santana, and he was for peace amongst everyone, amongst all.
Wow.
And so he kind of taught us how to resolve, how to end things. And I got in a fight with this one girl, and she actually apologized to me one day. It was the first time I had an apology like that. And I accepted the apology, but it taught me a big lesson in that, peace can be resolved by an apology and accepting an apology. Where did you grow up, and what were some of the things that you learned about growing up in neighborhoods and stuff?
Yeah. So I grew up in East County, so like Spring Valley. Grew up in Lakeside for a little bit, so that's like two total opposites. When I moved from Spring Valley to Lakeside, Spring Valley, you got all the I guess the minorities, and then you go to Lakeside, you got all like the white people and the Native Americans. So I had to kind of adapt to both. But um, where I grew up, it was I never had a problem with anybody because I always had that sense of humor. Going back to that sense of humor. When I got bullied, I would make them laugh, and that was like my defense mechanism. And sometimes it would work, and sometimes it wouldn't, but most of the time it would. And it got to a point where, like, with these people that I had problems with, they kind of became my friends. So I get what you're saying. It's like sometimes you gotta talk to them and just kind of be friends with them. Like that's what happened to me. So I know what you're saying. I mean, bullying it's always been around. I think unfortunately it will always be around. But it's like the way you handle it. I think you handle it extremely well, and that you turned into this because of that. That's where I came from too. I mean, those making people laugh like that, and making people. I go back to like school. Like school was those were my original open mics. Yeah, those like where I developed my funny bone, and where like I got like my first laughs was like in school. And if I can make bullies laugh like that, then I can make anybody laugh. That's it stays with me even till this day.
That's so true.
Yeah.
I have another question I want to ask you.
Uh-huh.
So, what would you rather eat, tacos or burgers?
I'm gonna say tacos. You can't go wrong with tacos ever, ever,
Yeah.
ever. Burgers are cool, but tacos are the best, man. Because there's so many different types and so many different places, and I don't know about you, but like a taco is a taco. It's a tortilla with meat and verdura and all that. But you go to this place over here and get the exact same thing over here, it's gonna taste different. That's what I love about it. I guess with burgers too, but no, there's nothing like tacos. I love tacos. So yeah,
We love our tacos. I love tacos.
best.
Okay, here's another question. What was your fondest memory of high school?
Oh, man. Um, oh man, I miss all my friends from high school. You know, I wasn't the best academic person, but I mean, my friends, and I look back at where they're at now, and everybody's doing their own thing. But like I said before, like that was my original open mic. I didn't do comedy until after high school, and just, I mean, on my report cards, they would always say disruptive in class, you know, distracting others. So I was so busy, you know, talking to everybody, making everybody laugh. And I look back at my teachers, and although they loved all of us, sometimes they hated me because I would, you know, I would be so funny that they didn't want to admit it. I remember one time, Mr. Scholdex, he was my history teacher. He pulled me out of class. He's like, you know, you're funny, you got something, but here is not the place. You know, just letting you know that I support you, but right here, you can't do it here. And you know, I'm like, okay, I got your, you know, approval. I get it. I'm gonna, you know, tone it down a little bit, but I miss my friends and, you know, just being in class, being that class clown. I miss that so much. You know, kind of acting out and making everybody laugh for sure, for sure. Even the sports, I played a couple, you know, baseball, football, and just being with everybody. I mean, you go the whole day of school, and then you still get to hang out with them after. I miss the people the most. I think people and some of the teachers for sure.
You know, as you were talking, I was thinking about the crew at Home Plaza,
Yeah.
and I was thinking about all of the situations that we were in and stuff. I want to give a shout out to Bernadette and Jonathan,
Yeah.
Thiago.
Yeah.
You know what? I don't even know these people by their first names. I only know them by their last name. Avila.
Yeah.
We miss Hatch. We really miss Hatch.
Yeah. Rest in peace. She was cool.
Yeah.
She was awesome.
She was awesome. Do you have any memories you want to share about that one?
Miss Hatch. Yeah. I do. She was cool, and I remember she was always our dispatch, so we would always make fun of her because she was always, you know, talking to someone else, and she would always tell us to repeat what we just said because, you know, that's man, you got to pay attention. We just said it like 10 times, but we loved her, man. I mean, she was cool and she was funny, and you could have a full conversation with her, and just, you know, your whole day would just fly by because we were with her, just talking to her at dispatch, and she was awesome. I mean, you know, as security guards out on the, you know, patrolling,
Yeah.
our dispatch, that's like the person that sends us help. Yeah, our lifeline. When we need the police, they call them. When we need the ambulance, they call them. When we need the firefighters, they call them. And many times, I mean, quick. I was in a situation where my life would have been in danger, and she called whoever was needed right away. So she saved my life a couple times for sure. And that job, I mean, I tell a lot of people, we were just security guards, but we were so underpaid for the stuff that we dealt with there on the whole day. I would go in there, and I remember like just being like, okay, we're gonna have to deal with some stuff today for sure. Like, what are we gonna deal with today? And it was never a slow day. Something would always happen. So I miss Hatch. May she rest in peace. And I think we all have good memories with her, and definitely we all missed her a lot. Yeah.
Me too. I had a lot of private conversations with Hatch and stuff, even about God as well.
That's good.
But I'm thinking about Bernadette as well because Bernadette was always on the scene. She probably should have just been with us, right? We're like, you're on our team.
Yeah.
And she was like right there, like, hey guys,
Yep.
come down here.
Shout out to Bernadette.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you another question here. It is, what's the strangest thing you have in your refrigerator?
My refrigerator. I've been on my studio for about a year now, and I have just mounds of butter in there that I'd never use. Probably butter. I mean, there's nothing in there really besides, you know, I live in a tiny studio. This is like probably my first time living alone, so I can't really. I have a tiny little fridge, so I'm just trying to, you know, move out, get something bigger. But right now, I can't really fit anything in there, so it's probably just butter, probably some beer in there, some eggs, and you know, just the essentials. But there's like literally a pyramid of butter that I have in there that I haven't even touched in almost a year since I've been there. And I always look at it, I'm like, I'm gonna use that one day, but so far, no. There's really nothing in there, just butter.
I always have butter in my
You need some, I got some.
I love butter. I love butter. So I want to ask you one more question.
Huh?
What's your favorite TV show?
TV show. It's a good one. I have a couple. I mean, growing up, I would always watch Cops with my dad, and like that was like such a like you would see what they go through, all the police officers, and sometimes you'd have those funny moments, like in the intro when they pull the dude from the bottom of the boat, and that's in the beginning the dude was always banging his head on the window and stuff like that. So I mean, Cops is probably one of the good ones. I still go on YouTube and I watch it. Um, George Lopez, his TV show growing up, that was like my favorite. Bunch of comedies, all the shows that he did. Can't really think of anyone else. I mean, now it's all Netflix stuff, so yeah, it's all Netflix.
Yeah.
But I mean, on Netflix, I'll watch a bunch of random. I like Seinfeld right now. Classic Seinfeld. I just kind of just started binging it, so right now that's the one I'm kind of watching all over. Jerry Seinfeld, he's a comedian, and it's like a show about nothing. It's just like makes an episode about something random. I'm like, that's so creative, that you don't have shows like that anymore. But I have a couple, but there's just so many to pick from for sure.
Yeah. My favorite comedians were like Carol Burnett.
Nice.
Carol Burnett. I love Carol
Oh,
Burnett.
classic.
She always, I love Lucy.
Yeah.
Just love like people like that. What's her name? Joan Emery. She's obnoxious name. She does the used to be the red carpet. Is her name Joan Emery? I forget what her name is, but yeah, she was another one, and she just obnoxious. Just based on the talk about on the red carpet stuff. That was funny to me. I like to listen to shallow stuff because I was doing really deep emotional
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
And so to watch things on TV, I'd like to watch comedy. Right?
Nice. Yeah, that's like you said, it's therapy
It is.
for sure, for
Yeah,
sure.
totally. I want to read something to you, and then I want you to kind of share what that means to you. And this is kind of, kind of been winding down a little bit here. And it says this. It says, and I want you guys to listen very carefully. I spoke to a law enforcement recruiter a few days ago, and he found out I was a comedian. I thought he would for sure think of me as someone who can't be taken seriously. When he read my resume and asked me about my comedy, I told him that I wasn't planning on talking about all of that because I thought it wasn't important for this type of job. The recruiter stopped me and told me I'm applying for a job that has the highest rate of suicide, a job that doesn't guarantee I'll make it home after my shift, a job that's extremely unrewarding with a terrible overall rating from the public. He went on to tell me that one thing I almost left out about myself, and it's the most important thing about myself, and that it will be most useful the day I'll have to bring fellow officers out of the darkness after witnessing the most horrific scenes and having to bring him or her happiness during the worst times. Some of these men and women end up taking their lives, but imagine having the ability to make them laugh enough to change their minds and keep them around longer. That's extremely important in this job, he said. I thought he would for sure think of me as someone who can't take it seriously and look for a different applicant, but instead he showed me the real power of laughter and responsibilities of being a true comedian. I always thought I'd be a big comedian, performing in front of millions instead inside of arenas. But now, God willing, I'm ready to be a comedian to the few that need it more than anyone else. Laughter is the best medicine. It's my job to find the sick.
Yeah, that really happened, and I forget that I do comedy. It's on my resume. So sometimes I don't even want to like, you know, bring it up, but it comes up anyway because I forget it's on there, and that's what happened here. I spoke to a recruiter on the phone for SCPD and then sheriff's department, and he told me, you know, he saw the thing. He's like, "Oh, you're a comedian." Like, ah, man, you found out, you know. So he's like, I'm like, yeah, and I told him everything you just said. You know, I really wasn't gonna tell you because I thought it was gonna be unprofessional. He told me straight up, you know, this is a really tough job, and you possess something that can actually be useful to a lot of people. And I mean, I see it myself. You know, you see the grumpy cops out there, and you see like, are they gonna be okay? You know, you know, and then you see a lot of stuff for the police that they're under a lot of scrutiny and pressure right now from the whole world right now because of what happened and what's happening all around the world. But yeah, you know, I've always wanted to be a big comedian, but I feel like God has different plans for me, and it's something that it was kind of a hard pill to swallow, but you can't do things for yourself. You know, you got to do the things that God wants you to do. So, you know, I would have. I remember, I had to really, you know, I talked to myself. I'm like, you could either go for it and be this comedian and just, focus on that only, or you could do what you're here on earth to do, really. And that's, I've always wanted to be a police officer since I was a little kid. So I know that I'm getting older. I mean, I could be a comedian when I retire and when I'm old, but this being a police officer, it's only till a certain age. So I know that I got to do this right now. And while I'm in there, I know that I'm going to take my talent with me. And whoever needs it, I'm going to share my talent with them, and I'm looking forward to it. I have a lot of respect for law enforcement, police officers, all out there, what they go through. And, sometimes they're very, you know, we don't realize what they go through, So I'm looking forward to it. I have a lot of respect for them, and I hope to be out there with them, hopefully soon.
I'm so proud of
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
You guys, this is Heart of the City, San Diego, and I'm here with Louie Valdivia, a local comedian in San Diego. And it is just a pleasure, it's just an honor. I know that you are needed. I know that comedy and humor is valuable, very, very valuable. As a chaplain, as a trained chaplain, my trainer was the one that told us some of the things that fire department and police department go through, the way that they vent. The way that they vent is through humor. And other stuff I can't say on here. But it's just a lot of conversations, a lot of going over the situation that happened through humor. And it could sound disrespectful, but to them it's a way of relieving.
Absolutely. Yep.
So I'm so just very happy.
Thank you. It's good to be here. It's good to see you again.
So we're gonna peace out, you guys, and thank you for sharing. I see you guys liking and sharing down there. What do you want to end with? What do you want to say?
It's just good seeing you again. I know it's been years since we've seen each other, probably since Horton Plaza. It's good to see you're doing good and you're doing this. We see you out there. I see you out there. And like I said, you're very consistent. Even when you're driving around in the car, you still got the camera on. A little dangerous, but it's okay. But thank you for having me, and anything I can do for you in the future, I'm happy to be here for you.
Thank you, Louie. Thank you. Let's peace out. We're gonna peace out.